So to kind of formally write it out here, fundamental counting principle. Again, this is something that intuitively sort of already understood, I think. If you could pick one thing, okay, if one item can be selected that many different ways, and if for each one of those ways, okay, for each way, a second item can be selected in n different ways, then together, okay, if you count the number of choices together, m times n, right? M times n different ways. So if you want to know the total number of ways you can pick two things, or more than two things, find the number of ways that each item can be chosen and multiply them, right? That is the fundamental counting principle. Now, you can apply it in a lot of different situations. It's when you're choosing things, and it might not be, the things we looked at were things like this, where you can pick 5 different computers and 3 different these, and I realize now that this question probably, you don't buy computers all separate pieces, but usually. Sometimes it's going to be things like this where it's not obvious, you're picking things one at a time. How many different 2-digit numbers? That doesn't sound like the kind of thing that, the questions that we just looked at. But you can still apply the concept. If you're looking at a 2-digit number, you can think about picking the digits one at a time. Okay, you can think, well, how many numbers can go in there, and how many numbers can go in there if I want these to be 2-digit numbers. Or if there might be some restrictions on some of the digits here, right? It's really helpful if you're picking items to just think about, well, here's my first choice, here's my second choice, and just think about the numbers that each, the possible numbers are allowed here. And I've given you the idea here that repetitions are allowed, repetitions are not allowed. So I want you to think about that as you work on these problems. Another thing here, this true-false test. This is kind of some help to get you to think your way through the question. But I think you can, the idea here is that for most of the tutorials in this unit here, we're going to do a couple kind of examples or things together, and then you're going to work on some of these problems and check as you go. Okay? Discuss with other people, think about the answers, and I will help you. Can you work on that right now? This is a pretty short tutorial. If you work through these questions and then you want some practice later on, whether it's today or at a later time, this is where you look in the textbook. Again, there's no kind of check your understanding, reinforce your understanding in here other than saying to look at that textbook. All right? That's why the thing is not stapled, so you can work on that and put it in between the pages.